What we did to Biafrans can't be swept under the carpet, Fani Kayode exclaimed. Fani Kayode has started this day by sending a strong message to Nigerians. He wrote a long statement addressing many issues going on in the country as of now. He also made reference to what happened to Biafrans years ago. One of the greatest fallacies in Nigerian history is that only Northerners slaughtered the Igbos. This is false. We all did. It was not the Northern leaders that told the world that starvation was a legitimate weapon of war and that committing the greatest genocide in African history against innocent women and children was acceptable in an armed conflict. It was Southwestern and Midwestern leaders that did that. It was not a Northerner that traveled to the United Nations during the war and tried to defend and justify our heinous and barbaric war crimes. It was a great son of the Midwest that did that. The blame for what was done to the civilian of Biafra and the attempt to rationalize and defend it goes to us all. We must all ask God for forgiveness for what we did, and we must all take our fair share of the blame for what was done to the Biafran civilians during that war. History is an intellectual exercise, and there can be no room for subjectivity or emotions in it. Historical facts are sacred, and historical opinion is cheap. Again, history is not for the unduly emotional because it is not a respecter of persons. We must always strive to speak the truth and bring to the fore all the facts when we are discussing it. Nothing ought to be hidden. Permit me to give an example. Sir Winston Churchill, the greatest leader that the United Kingdom ever had, and the man that stood firmly against Adolf Hitler and who, together with the Soviets and the Americans, saved the world from the evil of the Nazis, was also directly responsible for the death of 3 million Bengali Indians who starved to death at the stroke of a pen. When asked why he did this, he said that it was because the British troops needed food and that the Indians ought not to have been breeding like rabbits. Great men and iconic heroes in history almost always have their own dark side too, and Nigerian leaders, whether Southern or Northern, are not exempt from that. In our history, there are no angels. Every single one of our notable leaders, both military and civilian, during the course of our civil war has innocent blood on their hands, and we cannot shy away from it. We must accept our fair share of the blame for what was done to those innocent women and children and to those defenseless civilians. Until this is done and there is true repentance and reconciliation, I do not believe Nigeria can make any meaningful progress or move forward. Until this is done, the cyber of genocide, ethnic cleansing, mass murder, terrorism, violence, and divine retribution that we have witnessed all over our country over the last 50 years and even more so over the last 5 years. This is because the innocent blood that we collectively shed during the Civil War is calling to the God of heaven for the blood of our own innocents in revenge. Is it by accident that the two most deadly terrorist organizations in the world today, Boko People and the Herdsmen, together with the ISWA, are now freely operating in Nigeria, killing hundreds of thousands of innocent Nigerians over the last few years? Why have we been afflicted with this evil, and why has it not affected our neighboring countries in a similar manner? The answer is obvious, and it is essentially a spiritual affliction. Thank you for listening to this news. Thank you so much, Fani Kayode, for this brilliant and sincere article coming from you. You see, I always say this, that it takes the grace of God and someone with truth in his mouth to reveal the truth concerning what really transpired or happened during the war. I tell you, it takes the grace of God. You see, Fani Kayode, yes, they always call him a critic, but he is someone that is always behind telling the truth. But then Nigerians see him to be a gossiper and a talking too much person, which is not. He is the type that it touches so much, seeing the citizens suffering and experiencing what they are not supposed to experience. You see, Fani Kayode have decided to speak it out because it touched him. It really touched him what he experienced during the war. He knows it, and everyone knows it. Even Yakubu Gowon, to date, is still regretting what he did to Biafrans during the war. He's still regretting his sins, and he's still asking for God for forgiveness. How many of them, they will keep confessing and keep asking for God's mercy? That is, if only God is going to forgive them. They all played their own negative role. Are we to talk about Open Awolowo? In fact, they are much. They are much. They are much. Now, ask me, what is so big now that Biafrans are not asking for? Because they don't really want to remember what actually transpired between them and Nigeria during the Civil War. Because they want to be on their own. They don't want to have anything to do with Nigerian. That is why they are not asking and pleading that they should give them their republic. Is that too much? Is that too much to ask? Give them a republic and let them go in peace. They are no longer interested. They don't want to be with this country. They have seen the unbelievable. So that is why they are asking that they want to leave. Why don't you grant it to them? Why don't you give it to them and let them go? You are pleading and asking that God should forgive you for the innocent blood that you have shed during the Biafran War. How can God forgive you when you have refused to grant these people the republic that they are asking for? God cannot forgive you. So it is better that you grant them their heart desires so that God on his own will decide if to forgive you or not. Because the sin they committed, you can imagine, they deceived the people of Delta State. They deceived them. Having deceived them, they have to massacre them. In fact, if you have a father or a mother that was in that Asaba massacre, my dear, you will cry. You will hate this country till you die. I'm telling you, you will not even want to set your eyes on President Buhari because he was a part of the military coup then that massacred the Biafrans. What are we saying? Nigeria as a country has really done bad to the Biafrans. What are we to say? They are too much. So much. So many sins committed. Too much sins committed. Which one are we to say? How many do we need to say? They are just too much. So that is why we are saying that grant them a republic and let them go. They are not asking for too much. What they are seeking is very peaceful. They want to live in peace. They don't want to have anything to do with Nigeria any longer. They don't want to have anything to do with this country any longer. They want to be on their own. They have all that it takes to succeed as a republic. And so let them be. Let them be and let them go. Seven is asking for another civil war, which I know that they cannot be granted. So my viewers, what's your take on this news? Please don't forget to leave them behind. Click on the subscription buttons as well as bell button to receive more updates. Thank you.